Welcome to your equations practice test. I'm not sure whether you know how a video test works. You're to pause the presentation and do the questions that are on the screen on a piece of paper, and then roll the video, go through the whole test in the same way, and then pause it after the last question, check your work, and then if you roll the video, you'll see me go back and do each of the questions in turn. So here we go. Let's start with this page now, so you can start working on them, and pause it, and I'll scroll through to the next page. Okay, so here we are, the next set of questions, and then the last few. So question 2's got 3 parts. Here are 2 parts, and the last one is down the bottom here, a bit more working out needed for that one. All right, so pause it now, check your work, and I'm going to go back to the top and show you how to do each of the problems, and you can mark your work as you go. So here we go. Let's have a look at putting the name on the paper. How do you hear? Okay. Now, let's do the first one. You must show all your working. All right, so let's have a look at 4 by 4. We're going to divide both sides by 4. So dividing 4x by 4 on the left, that implies you'd have 1x equals, and dividing 52 by 4, that implies you would have 52 over 4 is 13. So there's our answer. And you should have that working in. For the next one now, over here, x, there's x. It's been divided by 3. Our job will be to reverse that step, so let's multiply both sides by 3. And if you multiply x over 3 by 3, you'd have x back again. And over on the other side, 3.2 times 3 is 9.6. So there'll be 1 mark for that. A tick means a mark here. All right, so looking at 3x plus 5 equals 24. X has been, times by 3. 5 has been added. And so now we'll do the reverse. We'll subtract 5 from both sides, and over here that implies 3x plus 5 take 5 will be left with 3x equals 24 take 5 is 19. And then we're going to divide both sides by 3 to get x back again. That implies x equals 19 divided by 3. 3x divided by 3, remember, would be back to 1x. And 19 divided by 3, we'd usually write that as a mixed number. X is 6 1/3. Okay, so there's 1 for this and 1 for this step here. Doesn't worry about 6 1/3 at this stage. Okay, so come down a bit. Let's have a look at the next question. So in the next question, let's find x. It's in there. It's been times by 2. And then 3's been taken away, and then it was divided by 3. So there are our steps that were done to x to produce the answer 31. So let's reverse those steps. Let's unpack those steps. So reversing dividing by 3 down the bottom here, we'll multiply both sides by 3. That implies if we multiply this side by 3, it will cancel out that 3 and we'll be left with 2x take 3 equals here, multiplying by 3, 93. I was nearly going to put 96. So it's 93. And now we're going to reverse the next step, going backwards through these steps. We're going to add 3 to both sides. And if 2x take 3 plus 3, would wipe the 3 out, we'd be left with 2x. That's the idea. We're backtracking, gradually unpacking all the steps to get back to x, what it was at the beginning. Adding 3 to the right-hand side then. We've got here 2x equals 96 now. And therefore we're going to then divide by 2. And x will be equal to 48. Okay, 96 divided by 2 is 48. All right, so that's our answer there. And let's look at the mark scheme. So there's one for reversing that first step of dividing by 3 and timesing by 3 there, and one for the next step, and one for the answer. Okay, how are you doing there? That's our 3 marks. Let's look at the next one. So here's our x term. X has been times by 3. Then this 4 comes in next. It's been then divided by 4. And then 2 has been added. Okay, so we've got those steps that we're going to want to reverse in a minute. Okay, so let's reverse those steps. And if we reverse them, first step to reverse is the addition of 2. So let's subtract 2 from both sides. So that implies that 3x over 4, subtracting this 2 will disappear, equals 5 take 2 on the other side. 5 take 2 is 3. Okay, so what's the next step we're going to reverse? Dividing by 4 will multiply both sides by 4. That implies if you multiply 3x on 4 by 4, you'll be left with 3x. Okay, so we'll have 3x equals, and over on the other side, 3 times 4 is 12. Right, then we're going to reverse the final step up the top here, which is timesing by 3, will divide by 3. And that implies 3x divided by 3 is 1x. And on the other side, 12 divided by 3 is 4. Okay, so there's our answer. And if we do that now, let's look at the marks. 1 for getting to that stage. And then 1 for this stage. And 1 for the answer is our 6 marks there. So I hope you've got a few marks there. They're building up a bit harder, some of these. And here we've got the final type, where we're going to have x's on both sides. And all right, so let's have a look. Can you see the problem here? And that is that there's an x on both sides of the equation. Okay, so let's have a look at what we can do with this. Let's try to remove this x from that side. So what we're going to do is to subtract x from both sides. So that implies over on the left, we would have 3x plus 2, take x. And over on the right, if we took that x away, we just have the 7, wouldn't we? Okay, so that's the trick you need here to work out what we're doing. Okay, so here we are. Let's go on then and simplify this now. We've got 3x, take x, is 2x. They are like terms. Plus 2 is still there. And over on the right, we had our 7. So now we're back to the usual sort of equation. There's x. It's been multiplied by 2. And 2's been added. So let's do the reverse now. Let's subtract 2 from both sides. So here it would be 2x. Because taking away 2, it would remove that 2 from there. And 7 take 2 would be 5. Then we're going to reverse this step. Timesing by 2 will divide by 2. And so 2x divided by 2 is 1x. And over on the other side, 5 over 2, which, if you like, is 2.5. X equals 2.5. We'll just do these steps. So first of all, there's a mark for the step of moving the x from the right-hand side, so all x is on one side. 1 then for doing the subtraction of 2, and then 1 for your answer. And it doesn't matter if you haven't put 2.5 at this stage. Usually with mixed numbers, mixed numbers rather are considered to be the simpler form rather than this sort of fraction here. All right, so let's look at the last one here. So what we've got is, again, x is on both sides. So I don't know, if you want to work to the left, you would try to move that term. So what would you do? Well, let's add 2x to both sides. If we did that, let's have a look at what happens. So we've got 5x plus 3 and plus 2x equals 8 take 2x plus 2x, and this is why we did it. That will disappear. That's what we want. So we've got all terms on the left. So 5x plus 2x is 7x. And here plus 3 is still left. And over on the right we have 8. Okay, so now it's back to the usual equation. So here we've got x has been times by 7 and 3's been added. So we'll do the reverse to that. So let's subtract the 3 from both sides. So that implies, just making our connection between our mathematical sentences, 7x equals 5. Now we'll reverse that first step. We'll divide both sides by 7. And that implies 7x divided by 7 is 1x equals 5 divided by 7 is 5 over 7. Okay, so again, 1 mark for removing the x from the right or from the left. You can work back the other way. 1 for the next step there, and 1 for the answer. Okay, so how'd you go? Hope you're getting some marks there. Let's go down to the worded questions now and have a look at those. All right, so here we go. For each of the following, use x. Well, you don't have to. I think we wouldn't use x in the second one there with a farmer, but use a letter instead of the missing number. Say what it is, and also state your answer in words at the end there. Okay, a person thinks of a number, triples it, so underline these things, adds 19, and the answer is 55. So let's have a look at it. Let the number, and you should put this so that you're explaining your solution, let the number be, well, we can have x. Okay, let's have x. Okay, so you're going to triple the number. Here we are, triple the number. So tripling the number means it's times by 3. Adds 19, we're doing this step. And the answer is 55. Okay, so we've got a mathematical sentence explaining what's going on there. And can we unpack this? Yes, there's x. It's been times by 3. 19's been added. And the answer was 55. So let's reverse those steps. Fairly simple idea. So let's subtract 19. From that side, we'll be left with 3x only. And 55 take 19 is 36. All right, let's reverse the other step now. The first one that was done, let's divide by 3. And we should put implies here, leading on our mathematical sentences. Dividing 3x by 3 is 1x, equals 36 divided by 3 is 12. So the number, abbreviated to NO dot, was 12, the person thought of. Now you must have that statement at the end, because we've been asked a question, a puzzle if you like, and we've used mathematical sentences, algebra, to solve it, but we should answer the question as it was asked. So what was the person's number? Okay, so 4 marks, 1 for explaining what you're doing with x, 1 for the initial equation, and then 1 for that step. And you should only get the last one if you have stated your answer in words, because the question said up the top here, state your answer in words. Okay, so let's have a look at the second one. I hope you're getting the idea of a mathematical solution here, not just working through and quickly getting an answer. The idea is to explain what you're doing in mathematical terms. Okay, a farm wants to construct a fence around a rectangular paddock. Paddock is to have a length which is 3 times its width. All right, so if it's going to be 3 times its width, let's have a look at what that means. So I reckon here we need to draw a bit of a picture for a start. So it's not to scale, but the length, L, is 3 times W. So if we put that, we don't have to explain in words what the symbols mean. Or you could explain in words. Either way, let the length equal W, and the width L, sorry, and the width equals W. You could do that, or you could do the diagram. You don't have to have both. So it's probably best to use L and W here to help you through the solution. And now we want to say that the length, it says in the problem, is 3 times the width. So we've got to use that. All right. So let's do the next part, going through a little bit at a time. Don't suffer mathematical indigestion. Don't try to gobble too much mathematics up at once, because you need to unravel each part and put it in mathematical terms. So we're going through slowly each piece of the given information. All right, so 152 metres to go around it with mesh. So I don't have to count the number of wires, it's all a mesh. So it's 152 metres. How far that has to last to go right round. So you're talking about the perimeter, aren't you? The distance right around the figure, right, is 152 metres. So let's try and work that out. So maybe if we get rid of this and put 3W, maybe that would be helpful if we put 3W there. So 3W, and here would be 3W, because the length is 3 times the width, and that would be a W. That would help us. Okay, so now we have a perimeter, which is right the way around 3W plus W plus another 3W plus another W. And all that's got to come to, how much has he got left? 152 metres. Okay, so if you added up all these W's, 3W, another W, let's just check that. So we've got 3W here, plus a W is 4W, plus 3W is 7W, plus another W, 8W. So therefore, 8 lots of the width is 152. We'll put in the 1 there. Okay, so now if you want to find W, that implies that W is 152 divided by 8. And if you do that, it comes to what? 19 metres. So the width of this paddock is 19 metres. Just get rid of that. And we've now got to state our answer. So if our width is that, it means our length up the top here is 3W. So the field is 3 times W, 3 times 19, is 57 metres. And the width, so you should state your answer in words, width is 19 metres. All right. So how'd you go with that? Let's have a look at the mark scheme for that. So there's 1 for somewhere, either on the diagram or in a statement, of writing down what letters you're going to use, what pronumerals you're going to use. 1 for setting it up, and 1 for the answer to the width or the length, and 1 for the final answer of the dimensions of the field, how long and wide must the paddock be. Okay, so I hope you got a few marks there. Let's come down to the last question, which was the hardest one, I think. So here, let's go through again and look at the information. Sue has her first child when she's 25 years old. Oh, this is hard. In 5 years' time, the sum of their ages will be 59. Our job is to use that information to solve this puzzle. To gain full marks, you must use an algebraic technique. Can't use trial and error. Okay, so Sue has her first child when she is 25 years old. Let's do that bit. Worry about the 5 years later, 5 years, in 5 years' time, how old. Let's worry about that afterwards. Let's do this first bit. So if she was 25 years old when her first child was born, so let the child be what? X years old now. But we want their ages now. So Sue would be 25 years old more, wouldn't she? Sue is now, she'll always be 25 years older than her child. So there's the first trick. She was 25 years old when she had her child. For every year that passes, she'll stay 25 years older. So if the child is X now, the mother will be X plus 25. So we'll get rid of those ticks because we want to mark it later. So there's our first statement. Now let's go on to 5 years' time. The sum of their ages. Well, don't do the sum yet. Let's do 5 years' time. In 5 years' time, in 5 years, the child will be 5 years older and Sue will be 5 years older. So Sue will be X plus 25 plus 5. She'll be X plus 30 now. Okay, she's got to be always 25 years older than her child. So now we're ready for the sum of their ages up the top here. The sum of their ages is, in 5 years' time, will be 59. So let's add them up. There is the child plus Sue will be equal to, what is it, 59. Okay, in 5 years' time. So that implies, let's add up like terms, that's 2x, and then the 5 and the 30, 2x plus 35 is 59. Now we can solve this. It's been times by 2, 35's been added. Let's do the reverse. Let's subtract 35 from both sides, so that implies 2x is left here. 35 from the other side is 24. Okay, and therefore dividing by 2, you don't have to put all that working out in actually, but I'm just trying to show you what was going on. So dividing both sides by 2, 2x divided by 2 is 1x, 24 divided by 2 is 12. So we've been able to solve that part, but we've got to state our answer clearly. So X is the age of the child now, so the child is 12 years old, and Sue is 25 years older than that, is 37 years old. Okay, so there's our answer. We'll write it a bit more neatly. It's a bit hard to write neatly on the screen. So you need to state the answer because that's what the question asks for. Don't state it in mathematical terms. That is with X's. Okay. So there's something for trying to connect the child and Sue, that X plus 25 business. Then there's something given here, a mark for the ages in 5 years' time. Then one for the equation. And I think there's only 4 marks for this, or is there 6? I don't know. Let's just come down. Oh, there's 5 marks. So there's 3, and then 1 for solving it and 1 for a stated answer. You must state this answer in the context of the question, not in Xland. You've created that solution, being a budding young mathematician, but they want you to answer their question. So it's got to be done in that way. Okay, so I hope you got a few marks there. The total coming back up to the top. So let's come up to the top. The total was out of 29, was it? Yep, so 29 was the total for that test. All right, Good luck with the rule test. Cheers for now.